Hello, good morning YouTube, good morning Professor. Alright, so today we have Module 8 and we're going to go through the learning goals here and try and knock out the extra credit as well. So define the basic database terminology such as a field, record, row, column, tables. So a field would be the actual data in one of the boxes in the database. A record, I believe, would be like a whole row or column. A row would go horizontally where the data is entered, and a column would go vertically. Table would be like a set of all these datas would be the table, and they could be selected, or there could be different tables that could have relationships to each other. So that's what a relational database would be. It wouldn't be exactly, I was trying to figure out if it was like Excel is one or not, but it said Excel is not relational. But if you were to, I believe, link the tables together, or the fields or rows, columns to have relation to each other where they could be affected by each other. I don't know that Excel would do it. That'd be a good question, but I know there's other databases that you would do that with. Explain the process of normalization. So I watched a video on this, and the normalization would be if you have a big database of information, and it was not organized properly, you would go through different steps. It would be like step one would be make sure that there's only one unit in each field so that there's just one number. You can't have multiple numbers, or that's going to mess up your data set. Then you would go through after step one is complete, then you would do step two of normalization, which I don't know exactly what two and three were, but it makes sense that you go through, make sure that everything is more organized and able to flow better, so when you're pulling data that you don't have a bunch of errors and things like that. Explain what SQL is. So SQL is structured query language, and for that I'm going to go into we'll identify some of the commands and talk about the extra credit at the same time here. So let's see. I want to make sure yep, I am recording. The audio's going. All right, so I got onto SQL Fiddle. Then use ChatGPT to create a table with columns and rows, and I was thinking of something that would be easy to fill this out and would be interesting as well. So I did Pokemon. So I had it give me an ID number for each Pokemon, which is here. I want to make sure we're in the field of view here. So we have this is SQL language, I believe, and we have rows being created here. They have different data and columns, and it's got the ID number of the Pokemon's name, and then I had it do the type too, so we have different things that we can pull up here. So if we go to the end here, we have select, which would be one of the commands in SQL language, and then you say where it's going to come from, and then you type in what I'm trying to do a type. So if I did fire type and then I execute that, it should pull from the data, and yes, it already did it here, and it has the fire type, all the fire type Pokemon from the original 151 is what I created from ChatGPT. So hopefully that suffices for the extra credit, and also kind of talks about the SQL language. Um, Explain what big data is. So from my understanding, big data is an enormous amount of data. For example, I just think of like Facebook. They have all the people's profiles, and all that information has to be stored somewhere. So they probably have some huge amounts of data being stored. And I know that there's three V's that go with it. I don't know if I know the third one. I know it's volume, velocity, and I'm not exactly sure the last part, but that has to do with big data, and it's pretty much an enormous amount of data where regular processing doesn't isn't adequate. Explain what NoSQL is. So from my understanding, this is not only SQL. So it is like SQL where you use SQL, but it's more of for data that's more complex than just in one field. It might be like a graph or something else that's more complex, or I'm guessing like a picture or something like that. And then you would probably still use SQL language to organize that data and pull different data from the data sets or the um, database. So that's actually it's not, it looks like it says no SQL, but it's actually not only SQL, and it's more complex than regular SQL. All right, so I believe that's everything. I was very tickled that I got this to work. And then I did notice that this SQL Fiddle website was a little different than the video you used on yours. So I don't know if they've updated or something, where I didn't have the second box to type in stuff. So I just used all this one text box to create the code and then to select or pull data in SQL in one box. And yeah, that all worked. I believe I hit on all these. So have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks, Professor. Signing off. Ryan out. Bye.